How's it going, crew? My name is Mark and welcome to Flight Sim Freedom. In today's video, what I wanted to do was take a look at the flight tutorials in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. If you guys didn't know, I'm a student pilot at a Part 141 school, so I've actually gone through the process of learning how to fly an airplane from start to finish. And I wanted to see how realistic it is for someone at home who's never flown a plane before to hop into Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and learn how to fly a plane. Now, I know there are a couple of videos about this on YouTube, and what I wanted to do was kind of skip the more boring ones, the more fundamental ones, and just go straight to the ones that are a little bit more exciting. So I think we're gonna start with number 3, takeoff and level flight. We'll look at how they teach you how to land, and then maybe we'll do a traffic pattern and maybe a first solo flight. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alright guys, we're back, and I actually decided to skip the takeoff tutorial because I just couldn't figure out what it was trying to ask me to do. So let's just go ahead and skip to landing. It's the part that everyone needs to learn, and probably the part that everyone struggles with the most. So I want to see how they take someone that's never had any flight experience and teach them how to land a plane, because it took me a while, and let's just go ahead and get into it.
My first instructor used to say the best part of flying is landing in one piece.
That's
true. The man
true.
was a terminal pessimist, but he wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
Today,
So
you're in
we
charge
gotta
of bringing us in for a
figure
safe
out
landing. We've got clearance for a straight-in approach, so we don't have to complete the standard traffic pattern. And I've already set us up in landing configuration at 65 knots with 10 degrees
65
of
knots,
flaps and
so
idle
that's
power.
that's how
We're on the glide
fast
slope
we want to
now.
be. Alright, so let's stay on this glide
Maintain
slope.
speed around 65 knots. Change your pitch if you need to, and keep your aim point on the runway number.
Okay, so
When you're targeting the runway number, you want to keep it steady in your sights.
all that's
If it
true.
looks like the
It's
number's
just
moving up in your windscreen, you're coming in low. You'll need to add a bit
hard
more
to see
throttle to get back
outside.
on the slope. If it looks like the number's moving down in your windscreen, well, then you're too high. You'll need to add flaps to increase your rate of descent, but you'll also need to push forward and trim to change your attitude and maintain the same speed.
okay, so we weren't in landing configuration because landing configuration would have meant that our flaps would have already been in. Where's our trim? We just won't worry about it. But we are a little high. If we see the 4 white lights, we want 2 of them to be red, 2 of them to be white. We're coming in. Looks like we're aligned with the runway. This is a pretty steep sight picture, but we're coming in nicely. Probably a little bit faster than 65, but
Keep your aim
still
point on the
okay.
runway threshold. When you're 10 feet above the runway, it's time to flare.
Okay.
Once we pass the threshold, shift your aim point to the end of the runway. Then, pull back slightly on the yoke to aim the nose just above it.
There we go. Finally on glide slope. That took a while. Now we're below it. Okay, 1 white light, 2 white lights, 2 red lights. We're good. Add a
Okay,
little
we're
power.
past the threshold. Start the flare.
Okay.
Keep pulling back slowly. Let the plane settle onto the runway. Don't push it down, but don't let it start climbing. Nice. Now apply the brakes to slow us down and bring the plane to a stop.
All right. I guess we made it.
Great job. As they say, any landing you can walk away from is a good landing. But if you can use the plane the next day, it's outstanding. Landings can be hard, even for seasoned pilots. Trust me, don't hesitate to practice. After all, that's what we're here for, right?
All right, lady. So I guess that was a good tutorial. It came really fast. Like, if you didn't know where the controls were or what you were looking at, it would be pretty difficult to try and do everything all at once. They put you like right on final approach, and they tell you to look at the numbers on the runway, but the runway's a little too far, so you wouldn't know where the numbers were, and they didn't tell you any like any glide slope indicators like the PAPI lights on the left. They didn't even tell you that 2 white and 2 red meant that you were on glide slope. They just kind of said that you want to be on glide slope. So, you know, overall, it's an okay tutorial. I bet that if you weren't a pilot or like had no interest in flight training, I mean, you can get it on the runway, but if you want it to be a little bit more realistic, I would spend some time looking at other flight tutorials on YouTube. I think that would be a little bit more useful, especially because the approach that they kind of give you makes you come in pretty fast. And they told you to, the point that they told you to flare was like too far from the runway. So if you would have flared, you would have lost too much airspeed and just dropped like a rock. I don't know if it's because what I was doing or just the standard recording was, okay, you need a flare like before the threshold, because to me the threshold is right at the end of the runway, and they said the threshold was like somewhere in the trees right before the runway. So I don't know, it was okay. I mean, you'll be able to get the plane down if you follow that direction, but let's go ahead, let's see what they had to say about traffic pattern. Okay, so they're taking you through the turns of a standard traffic pattern. It's basically just a big rectangle around the airport. What they aren't telling you is the altitude that the traffic pattern is at. But they do give you the names of the turns. First turn is crosswind, then downwind, base leg, and then final. So that's good. And it shows you an overlay over the airport. I do like that. Now let's see how good this tutorial is.
Let's be honest, no one likes going around in circles, unless you're a pilot training on traffic patterns.
Okay.
Sedona's standard traffic pattern follows a 1,000-foot altitude around the main runway. By the time we're through here, you'll know how to complete the full run from takeoff to landing. So let's get started.
Okay, let's make sure we're in takeoff configuration. Let's put our flaps. So rotation speed's 55, and we want to climb out at 75, so I think we're good. Let's release that parking brake. We'll go ahead and set takeoff power. Make sure to keep it on center line as best we can. I'm going to move up a little bit. Airspeed is alive. There's 50. There's 55. Now let's climb out at 75.
When we're up, keep us aligned with the runway and climb to 5,400 feet.
Can't really see the runway, so...
We're going for a left-hand traffic pattern.
Okay, so they are giving you... That's kind of weird, though. Like, why would you give it in nautical miles and not feet? Alright. How high are we? I'd say that's about 400, so let's go ahead and pull up flaps. And let's try and get a climb established. I guess we're just flying towards that point. Traffic pattern entrance. You know, the one thing about flying a traffic pattern is you have to look outside a lot to make sure you're aligned. So I wonder how they're going to address that.
You're going to start turning left 90 degrees toward a 122 degree heading.
Okay, so that's good. They give you a heading
we're in the
to turn
pattern.
to. So let's
get ready to enter the crosswind section. Good. Keep going till you reach the traffic pattern altitude of 5,700 feet.
Okay, so
ready to make your left turn downwind? When the runway appears at the halfway point of your wing strut, you'll know you're at a good glide distance.
Okay, so I mean, this kind of this floating marker is kind of nice, that it tells you where downwind is. Oh, we're a little high though. 5,400. Okay, so we need to look outside. Okay, so there's the airport. Oh, we are not lined up. So let's keep flying towards that marker in the sky. It's basically just a big game of connect the dots. And let's keep looking outside. So we're not too far, so that's kind of good. Oh, so once it, and we're a little wide. Always want to be within gliding distance of the airport.
We've got the wind at our back now. We're on the right track. Lower your nose to a cruise attitude and reduce power to 2100 RPMs.
Okay.
Once your speed is in the white arc, add 10 degrees of flaps to prep us for landing. Now's not a bad time to check if the runway is looking good.
Okay.
And it probably goes without saying, always watch out for other planes entering or exiting the pattern.
We're a little slow in this traffic pattern too.
We're gonna fly past the end of the runway here. Keep going until you see it at a 45-degree angle behind you. That's your cue to turn left again, onto the base leg.
Alright, so this is pretty standard. I do like that it actually gives you a point to fly to. You're not just trying to line up based on line of sight. And also, I wish they would tell you like power settings for your throttle, but that's okay. I think we're still a little slow for this traffic pattern. But it does want us, it did say to put in flaps once we reach our base turn. I think we're also high too. We're at 6,000, so we're gonna
All right, reduce power to idle to start losing altitude and maintain cruise attitude.
Okay.
Keep an eye on the runway as we get ready for our final turn.
Oh God.
That'll also keep our speed around 65 knots.
So let's put in our first notch of flaps. You know, I've never heard of a plane putting in idle power on base leg to final. So also it looks like we're kind of far from where they want our final to be. It's super hard to look outside and keep this plane flying. I'm assuming on final they want us to put in our last notch. Okay, now we need to turn final. I'm gonna add a little power, even though they said to set idle. I don't think we flew a perfect little rectangle that they wanted us to. Not too bad though. You know, that seems kind of high in my opinion, if you were flying towards that marker. But let's go ahead and line up on final just by line of sight, how I like to line up. And we're definitely in the white arc, so let's set our last notch of flaps. Let's get on glide slope. Oops.
There we go. The runway's in full view. Make sure to keep the plane centered on approach.
Okay, so we're going to use our rudders.
If you're too high, add flaps. Too low,
too high,
add power
add
to
flaps.
maintain the glide path.
I don't think our glide slope's coming in either. I'm looking at those 4 white lights. They're all white, even when we get close to. Okay, so there's one. Okay, there's 2. Maybe we were a little high. I don't know. But we're gonna come in. Ooh. And slow down. Pull up just a little bit, just to bleed off some airspeed. Ooh. A little harder than I wanted to come in, but not bad.
Way to stick the landing. Now just apply the brakes to slow your roll. And make sure you don't stop on the runway, of course.
Okay, well, let's keep going then.
If other planes are looking to land,
Stop
we've
aircraft
got to
on
move.
taxiway, so.
Take one of the taxiways on the right.
Wish I would have known that. The landing tutorial, they had you stop on the runway. Now we're going to get off. Looks like we're going to get off at Alpha 5.
Good job. As an old instructor said to me, not only did you not die, you're really learning to fly.
Ooh, okay. So, you know, for a first traffic pattern, that was a pretty good tutorial. I really liked how they had the checkpoints in the sky, even though I wish they would have had them in feet and not miles away from the checkpoint. But it was kind of nice to just have a target to aim at, so you could have seen what a traffic pattern would have looked like. I wish they would have told you like how to look at the runway and line up with the runway, because if you didn't know that you wanted to stay within gliding distance, I think it would be too easy to fly out towards the right and be too far. I wish they would have put like a sight picture of how far you would have been, how you should have been around, how far away you should have been from the runway. So, you know, it was an okay tutorial. I mean, there's a lot of things that I would have changed, but it was still pretty good. So, I guess we'll move on to the next one. See what that's like. First solo. You know what? Okay, so I'm gonna end it here so I can get another video out of these flying tutorials. So let me know what you guys think. I mean, I obviously put in my input as a student pilot that actually learned how to fly from scratch. So I guess I can't be too hard on a game that basically teaches you how to fly an airplane within, like, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you guys like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.